Hello, welcome to First Impressions Matter, the importance of new hire onboarding. My name is Jim Versweyveld. I'm a farm management outreach specialist with UW-Madison's Division of Extension. Onboarding refers to the process in which new hires are integrated into your organization. It includes all the activities that allow new employees to complete not only an initial new hire orientation, but also learn about your farm, its structure, culture, vision, mission, and values. When onboarding is done well, it lays a foundation for long-term success for both the employee and the employer. It can improve productivity, build loyalty, engagement, and help employees become successful early in their careers with the farm. To set the stage as to why onboarding is so important, we all know that agriculture and related sectors are experiencing worker shortages due to a number of factors. We know that Wisconsin's workforce is approaching full employment with an unemployment rate of around 3.3%. 3.3% unemployment basically means that the vast majority of people who want to be working are already working. We also know that potential workers may be attracted to alternate sectors, which simply means that agriculture may not be the most appealing job prospect for some new people entering the workforce or entering the job market. They may view other sectors of industry as more attractive, and that could be for a variety of reasons. Could be perceptions that they have about agriculture being, long hours and hard work, and hot when it's hot and cold when it's cold. So there's a number of factors that could be at play there. We also know that there's less availability of migrant agriculture workers, and this is also due to a variety of factors, some of which was impacted by COVID and people's ability to travel around the world. But also we know that the H-2A process and other worker visas can be very complicated and daunting for some employees. And then we've also seen a trend in Wisconsin's rural workforce where we've seen decreases due to an aging population. The baby boomers are retiring at record rates. And this is coupled with a connection with a trend for young people to leave our rural communities. So a variety of factors that we've seen, and the long-term outlook is that these issues could actually get worse. We've seen help wanted signs all over Wisconsin, making farms struggle to compete for that available talent. We also know that high turnover is a factor. Employee turnover continues to be a challenge on our farms, with Wisconsin farms having a significantly higher turnover rate than broader industry benchmarks we see from other industries. The Society for HR Management estimates that the average cost of a new hire is over $4,000, and that is partly due to the recruiting expenses, the hiring costs that take place, but also the lost productivity when you have a vacancy on your farm. We also know that effective HR practices and processes are not always in place on many farms in Wisconsin. And what I mean by basic HR practices are things like job descriptions, performance reviews, even staff meetings. We also know that high turnover can affect morale of the existing workers on your farm. It's natural to wonder, why is everyone quitting? Maybe I should go too. High turnover also impacts safety, as training and retraining employees becomes a challenge. We also know that fewer and fewer job applicants come to farms with farm experience. They may not have experience in operating farm equipment or working around farm animals. Well, we certainly hope that the worst of the labor disruptions caused by COVID are behind us, I think it's important to understand what we've seen over the last 3 years since the pandemic was first identified and what that means for labor on our farms. We've basically seen a labor demand surge while the labor supply lags behind, and that is for a variety of reasons, one of which I'll call pandemic inspired job changes. The pandemic gave people an opportunity to kind of take a pause and maybe reinvent themselves and think about what do I want to be doing with my future. We also saw huge upheavals in childcare where people had difficulty placing their children into proper care facilities. Daycares closed, schools were closed, which put a lot of pressure on the available workforce. We know that these labor challenges are long and probably long lasting. I want to call your attention to this chart on the right-hand side of the screen. And this basically shows which industries were impacted the most when it comes to job loss during the peak of the pandemic. And you'll notice that food and drink, retail, travel and tourism, these were the industries that were hit the hardest, creating high numbers of displaced workers. Unfortunately for agriculture, these workers in the hospitality trades tend not to translate all that well to farm workers. And the industries that do translate well to farm workers, like construction and transportation, were actually kept quite busy during the pandemic. Let's talk about why first impressions matter. For most people, the first day of work at a new job is filled with excitement and optimism. The stress and anxiety of the job search is over, and it's replaced with hope and enthusiasm for a bright future. Savvy farm managers can capitalize on those feelings by creating a first day impression that's positive for every new hire. Think of employee onboarding as that all-important first impression that an employee makes when they join your team. Unfortunately, too many farm managers miss this opportunity by thinking of onboarding as just filling out new hire paperwork. And while completing HR and payroll forms is important, it won't create a lasting and positive impact that keeps employees excited about your farm and valued team members from leaving. A robust onboarding plan includes so much more and is good for your business and your business bottom line. We know that it can take several weeks to months for new employees to reach their full potential on your farm. That's for a variety of reasons: the change in work environment, understanding manager expectations, building rapport with new team members and coworkers. All of this can limit productivity as new team members navigate their new job. An onboarding plan can reduce this lag in productivity by introducing workers to the ways to be successful early on. Those keys to success include understanding who to go to with questions, understanding key processes and procedures, and getting to know your expectations for employee performance. Some managers are reluctant to invest the amount of time this takes with each and every new hire. I talk to farm managers, and the pushback that I often hear is, I can't afford to spend this much time on each new hire. What if they don't work out? What if I spend all this time on them and then they leave? The reality presented by the current job market is that if you're not willing to spend the time to ensure success for this new hire, some other manager likely will. Another very important benefit of a robust onboarding plan is a faster integration to your farm workplace culture. The positive work environment that keeps others working at your farm is very important for new hires to see early and often. Getting the hang of things happens sooner and more effectively when the new employee feels like asking questions is normal and that they will be treated with respect when they risk revealing ignorance, that they don't understand how to do something. On the flip side of that, in an atmosphere of disrespect and impatience, the tendency is to hide the need for help. Research shows that many new employees quit jobs because of the feeling that they don't fit in. It's natural and normal for employees to want a sense of belonging at work. And while you, as their manager, cannot make friends for them, your efforts for them to get to know other employees can really pay off. Recent research by the Brandon Hall Group found that organizations with strong onboarding processes improve new hire retention by 82% and productivity by over 70%. As new employees begin to formulate impressions of your farm immediately, consider, is that experience a welcoming one that's well planned and impressive, or are employees left to figure things out on their own? Think about how a strong onboarding process can improve your retention rates. 82% is really a significant number, and that productivity increase of 70% is so important. A recent Gallup survey found that only 12% of employees agree that their organization does a great job of onboarding new employees. What that means is 88% of employers have a lot of room for improvement. What are some of the steps that you could take today to improve the onboarding experience at your farm? There are basically 5 phases of effective onboarding. They are the initial welcome, the general information and procedures, work pay and time, the job itself, and then safety. We're going to dive into each one of these a little deeper because they are important. The initial welcome. Show your new hire that you're glad to have them join the team with a warm welcome. Clarify the employee's name and how they prefer to be referred to. Make sure you use that name as you're introducing them to other members of your team. Make sure that you've communicated the new hire's arrival to other key people on your farm so that they can share in the enthusiasm. It can be very disheartening to a new employee if nobody at the farm seems to know that they were coming. Share your farm vision and mission statements so that the new hire can understand what it is you value and that they can understand why your farm exists and why your farm matters. Include a farm tour. I think farm tours can be really effective ways to make people feel comfortable, understanding all the aspects of your farm, and really getting to know the operation. Make introductions. That can also add a lot to the positive first impression as they get to know the other team members on your farm. Next, you'll want to make sure that you cover general information and procedures. Think about, from a new employee's perspective, what are the things that they really want to know in order to succeed on your farm? First off, and simple enough, they'll want to know where to put their belongings. Is there a uniform? Is there a dress code? Do you require steel-toed shoes? Things like that are important to mention. They'll want to know where to put their lunch, where to eat lunch. They'll want to know the location of restrooms. Also take this opportunity to cover key policies about employees that you'll want them to know. Things like cell phone use, personal use of farm vehicles, and other equipment while they're on the farm. You'll also want to take time to talk about work time and pay. It's important to set expectations up front regarding start times, hour expectations, include any seasonal variations, overtime expectations that you might have during different seasons of the year. This is a great time to cover call-in procedures. If people are ill, unable to work, how to use sick days, how to use personal days if they exist on your farm. These policies can vary widely from employer to employer. And so don't assume that the new hire knows what your expectations are as far as how and to call in if they're unable to work. This is also an important time to set your expectations for feedback and performance reviews. Will you be meeting with them monthly, every 6 months, annually? Hopefully more often than annually, where you give them feedback on how they're doing and how their job performance is in comparison to your expectations. Next, you'll want to cover all the important information about the job duties, the job requirements. This is a great time to use your completed job descriptions as you explain the procedures and tools for success in the position. Thorough job descriptions can really help outline what you're expecting from the job and it's a handy tool for you to make sure that you don't miss any key items. Org charts are also a great opportunity to give the new hire an idea who they can go to with their questions. This is also a great time to discuss potential career paths on your farm. Let people know what opportunities exist for them to stay with your farm long term. Many employees are willing to start in entry-level roles, but they'll want to know what's next. Highlighting success stories of employees who have moved into advanced roles on your farm can be a powerful motivator for your new hire and will encourage them to view the opportunity that they're taking as a long-term career potential. If you don't have job descriptions on your farm, it's a great time before you start recruiting to make sure that those job descriptions are up to snuff. The other thing that I often see is job descriptions may exist on your farm, but they've been tucked away in a binder for so long that they're not even relevant or accurate anymore. If you're interested in writing job descriptions, we have a tool on our Farm Management Topic Hub, which I'll explain more later in this presentation. But it has a step-by-step guide that you can use to develop job descriptions on your farm, which will be helpful not only as you bring people in to new positions, but also when you're posting jobs on your farm. On that job description, you'll want to make sure that you have accurate and thorough job titles. You'll want to have a job summary where you actually outline why the job exists, why is it important to your farm, and then a little more background about your farm and information that new hires would want to know about why your farm exists. You'll want to cover important job duties. And then you'll also want to make sure that if there are specific skills and experience that you require, that's outlined there. Skills and experience might be years of experience on a farm, or it could be things like a CDL for those positions that require it. But this step-by-step guide can really help you as you develop ways to use job descriptions effectively on your farm. Last but not least, don't miss this important step to emphasize your philosophy about safety on your farm. You'll want to cover not only employee safety and well-being, but how you create a culture of caring. And this can make a huge impact. Approach farm safety from the standpoint of sincerely caring about the individual and their health versus just rattling off a list of rules. The rules can make it feel like you're just going through the motions and checking the boxes as opposed to safety, versus a philosophy of caring about safety where you show a sincere interest in people that they leave at the end of the day in the same condition that they arrived in the morning. You'll want to make sure that you use an onboarding checklist. An onboarding checklist makes sure that you cover every detail. You can customize this list to include specific information about your farm. Make sure that you cover things like timekeeping procedures, if you use time cards, or how you distribute paychecks, how often, when, and where. If you use a bonus plan, if you use any kind of incentive pay, it's important that workers understand how they can achieve those bonuses and how that might be a benefit to them. Make sure you cover any fringe benefits of working on your farm in addition to pay, because this is an important thing for people to understand. In summary, one of the biggest mistakes I see farm managers make is assuming that new workers are ready to work and will just figure things out. Good employees are too valuable, too hard to find, and too difficult to replace to leave things to chance. Having an onboarding plan in place for your farm can reap benefits in productivity, engagement, and retention. In addition to onboarding, think about training for that new hire. Assume that they don't know every aspect of the job that you're hiring them for. They'll require training, and they'll require that training early and often as they understand your expectations for the role. Also, considering mentoring. Mentoring is a great way to make sure that you're partnering the new hire with someone more experienced who can help show them the ropes. And don't forget the three things that every employee wants to know. What is expected of me? How am I doing? And why am I important? Why am I important? Everyone wants to matter. Everyone wants to feel like they matter to your team. If you'd like to learn more about ways to improve the employee experience on your farm, we encourage you to join a class on becoming the employer of choice. This 4-week self-study course with weekly facilitated discussion groups can help give your farm a competitive advantage that is so important in attracting and retaining top talent. You'll learn how to develop employees who are actively engaged in their work. You'll learn how to create a workplace culture that values trust, health, and safety. You'll learn how to provide strategic leadership that promotes your sincere commitment to the people working on your farm. And you'll learn to develop best practice processes that will help you in recruiting, onboarding, and retaining employees. To learn more about becoming the employer of choice and other helpful HR resources, visit our Farm Management Topic Hub. Our Farm Management Topic Hub can be accessed at farms.extension.wisc.edu. Again, my name is Jim Versweyveld. I'm a farm management outreach specialist, and I'm happy to help with any questions you may have in making a great first impression on your farm. Thank you for listening.